Okay, this is footage of Jasmine doing the hill run on Big Green, and we'll look at it a couple times just so we can get a feel for the type of run that it is. This is a 20-meter drive out from a three-point stance. And so let's take a look at this footage again just so we can get a feel on what we're trying to do. I like to train a three-point stance early on because we can get into the same basic start positions that we use out of the blocks. We have the athlete set up with the front foot beneath the hip and the rear foot about a foot behind, much like it would be if you were in the blocks. The hips, of course, are going to be higher than the shoulders. I'm not going to go into too much detail about starting technique right now, but we will talk a little bit about some of the things we want to do when working on our driving and accelerating. Firstly, we want to be sure that we advance the rear leg, which will be the first leg to go forward, always low. We want to drive that heel through lower than the front leg knee. As you can see here, her knee here is obviously right here, and you see the front leg as it moves forward, it will go beneath that level. So let's take another look at it, and we'll see that the heel will move forward straight ahead. The reason we do that is because at this point the athlete is spending more time on the ground, and we need to get the foot back on the ground so they can apply more force. Secondly, the front leg, as it drives back, will completely extend. That's one of the things we want to have the athletes be sure that they do, is that they displace the hips forward. One of the biggest mistakes you'll see young developing athletes is they'll tend to advance the foot, yet the hip will stay in the same place. That is a big mistake, and you will lose because you're not making any progress. As we drive forward, we want the hip to move immediately forward to displace in a positive direction towards our objective, in this case the finish line. As we do that, we get a complete drive, and we establish a position where the athlete's completely extended in a straight line. And right here, Jaz does a pretty good job of that. Of course, I'm not exactly directly next to her, but it's still a pretty good job. You get a good arm split. The humerus bones of the arms are somewhat parallel, which is what we want. Big split of the arms. And then a strong drive down with the shin being at the same angle, more or less, as her torso. And, her torso is probably a little bit more forward than her shin in this case, but, again, we're running up a hill. So, here she's driving, swinging strongly from the shoulders, and again, we make the same movement where we try to get a straight line from the from the shoulder through the hip, through the knee. And right here, Jaz does a pretty good job of the first two steps. That's one of the areas we've been working on for the last couple of years to improve. Now, with that being said, the area that I think that Jaz could do better on is I think that her arm swing was not as good as it could be on the second step. First step was good. Second step, the arm swing, I think was too short. I think she needs to really take advantage of the power and to really exploit a stronger arm swing, almost to the point where the humerus bones are being split again. And she'll get an even stronger impetus into the ground for that second step. Third step, she does a pretty good job of extending out through her ankle all the way through the toe to displace again. But again, I think she should have a little bit bigger arm swing, in my opinion. So from here, she drives down, and at this point, you'll see she's in a pretty good position where the hips are in good position as far as the foot. They're directly over the foot, which is where they should be, and you can see the angle of her torso and the angle of her shin are almost exactly the same, which is what we want. At this point, because she's moving, you'll see low heel recovery for the first step, relatively low heel recovery for the second step. I'd like to see the heels relatively low for the first two steps. I think her rear heel in this case was probably just a little bit too high, in my opinion. But it's more of a quibble more than anything else, more of a style thing. But here she does drive through. She's able to dorsiflex the toe to get the foot in position so the ankle's cocked, and then we drive hard. That's what I want athletes to do when they're sprinting up the hill, to drive hard. Displace until that leg is completely extended. Get some air time, drive hard again. Do not try to be quick. She drives pretty hard. I think she could drive harder, in my opinion. And she drives again here, pretty hard, but I think she can drive harder. She drives pretty hard here. And you notice, if you watch her, you notice that she drives a little harder on her right side than she does on her left. You can tell by the angle of the hip and the femur bone here. So not quite fully extended here on the left side, and the right side is completely extended, as you can see. So she's stronger on the right side than she is on her left, so we have to work on being a little bit more aggressive on both sides. Now here you can really see the hands are loose at the wrist, so she's almost flapping them, which is a mistake. And secondly, on the front side, especially on the left side, and again, that left side is associated with, as she swings the right hand back, the left leg is driving down. And you look right here, you see it's not swinging as big and as strong. Look at the difference. You see right here, we'll get about 3 steps up. Look how far back that right hand goes right here when she drives that left leg through. Okay, and then now look how far back it goes where the left hand goes. Let's get one more step up. You can really see it here. Look where the right hand goes. Look at the angle where it is relative to her spine. Then now look at the next step. How much bigger it gets to the back side because she's driving harder. The left arm goes back, the right leg drives down. She's driving harder on the right side. So we have to get her to be a bit more aggressive with her arms on both sides. She's very passive with her left hand. As you can see right here, it only goes about to her, maybe her armpit level as far as her fingers. That's not high enough. And the reason why it's not going high enough, because she's not pushing strong enough to the rear. So we can still get better here as well. So nonetheless, she does a pretty good job on the run. Everybody can get better. That's the area where she can get better, is to maintain the intensity. Her technique is looking pretty good, but the intensity just needs to be just a little bit more, quite frankly, a little bit higher. And once she gets that, I think you'll see a good improvement in her strength.